And we're back here to Houdini. Let's see what we can else add somewhere at this area. Let's go to my ship and let's move it on the top. And let's select this gun. Remove it. Delete non-selected. And let's drop this gun on the water. So let me just add another object. That's gonna be a big gun. All right, so I want to send this gun into another node because I already have a ship render. So let's set up side of water surface here. Let's add a geo node. I can call it I don't know, maybe like ship parts. Go to object merge and let's take this gun from the ship and a big gun. Here we go. Let's send this big gun somewhere at this area. So in the transform node, and I want to put this to the center of my gun. So CX, CY, TD. So for those who doesn't know what it means, that I translate my pivot point to the center of the object. So now I can drag it somewhere here, maybe even more, like, I don't know, 33 and -20. And let's see at what level I can. Let me enable the grid VS cut. Yeah, I need to put it like say -3, -4. Something like this. So where's my ship? I need to look. Maybe this ship will cover. Go here and no, that's fine. It can be there. Can be there. Okay, fine. And I want to add a material for this guy. And let's go to the shaders. I don't want to spend a lot of time for this, especially when I can't distribute this model for you guys. But again, you can find this model on internet. So where is my gun? Yeah, big gun. Here we go. So the texture for this guy is here, and there is no metallic texture, I guess. I know they have this and this. Okay, the surface should be the same. Get back to ship parts, select my gun 1, and it should looks correct. Yeah, it's correct. Cool, but it's not all. I want to add some elements somewhere here in this area, again to fill the empty space. And what I want to cut from my ship, let's grab those guys. Not you, you, and delete. Drag it over here. Connect. Delete non-selected. It's a nice small gun. We can even call this a small gun. All right, so go to the ship parts and I can make a copy, Alt key, if you remember, small again. So what I can also do with the small gun, well, it's small, so we can replicate it and edit transformation. Let me see, come on. Where you are? Here you go. I definitely want to create the same transformation for the gun. And now what I want to do else, maybe add some rotation for a huge gun. Like so, maybe like 12, yeah. To see that this is a gun, I want to see those guys from the water. Sounds transformation. Let's move it at this area, not such a huge distance. So maybe like -3 for translation. I want to see them from the water. Let's just move to camera. Let's move about there, there. Where's my ship? Let's drag it here. I make a pause. It takes some time, but I take a proper position for those guns. And oh, come on. So what I did, I make a scale for this guy, make it bigger. I just go from the water. It's looking interesting, but definitely I should add another material for this. For this object, so I can replace it, put it here. Yeah, it's looking good. I even don't want to apply a different material from this. Those guys are very far away from camera, so we can't see those details, in fact. Okay, so I merge and you, so now this is my element, like an additional element, and I apply null object. Let's call this geom render and apply a render flag. So this node ship parts will do two different jobs for us. The first one is create geometry for rendering, and another one in creating geometry for sourcing the smoke from those. I want to add some smoke because it's not such interesting just to render them going from water. Maybe create even some fire here and smoke from them. I don't know, let's do something. So to create a simulation, we need to create a source. We have unpacked geometry, so to work with them I need to unpack those guys to have polygons and primitives, except just bucket geometry. I definitely can delete those groups because I don't need them, just to make it a little bit more faster. So, and select some primitives on this guy to make a source. So let's select some of you. Yeah, maybe like this. Oops. And maybe it's too much. Yeah, like here. Yeah, it's better. Maybe not you. And press delete. So delete non-selected. Oops, there's too many elements. Those I want to remove. Really remove. Just leave them. Okay, so 139, 140. I don't want to play with that. Let it be like this. And I want to scatter some points on the surface to make a source for the fire. Let's add like 5,000 to make a bigger amount, because I want to add some noise. So let's quickly add the attribute pop. In our first example, when you create a color noise, I use the attribute noise node. Now I just use a turbulent noise to add some noise to the color. Okay, so let's change this to sparse convolution, and now make some offset to play with this. Yeah, it should be fine. Just a part of this element. And inside of the scatter node, or with a blast, in fact, we can, create just a blast node and say that I want to remove points which has CD color bigger than less 0.1. Choose points and delete non-selected. So we keep just points which have a brighter color. I don't need you. Okay, just you. All right. Maybe with some smaller size. Oh, come on. That's interesting. Strange noise. Okay, let's keep it by default. Anyway, go to the blast node and let me just change order. Yeah, that will be much better for me. So now I want to transfer those points to the fuel. So basically I can copy those guys from the fuel and paste here. Okay. So we take a points and not by mask, by the CDX. Take a color from, take a burn. Let's take a fuel at this time. You can see that it doesn't matter how you call this field, because we will transfer them into the flame field. So we can call it fuel, burn, anything you want, even your name. Okay, so the attribute noise with fuel and the temperature. So the noise, I want to remap it like 0.5. Let's see, what do we have? Oh, the particle scale is too much, I guess. Let me decrease it like 0.1. Yeah, that's much better. So this is my noise. Maybe it should be a little bit smaller, and choose a default simplex. Let me leave it, and with minus of 5 to have a bigger difference. And let's choose the size for the smoke. Let's for the noise, sorry, like 0.35. And with a bigger post duration, I don't want to create a a big animation in this case. So yeah, it's looking like this. And I think it will be enough, because I don't want to create too many smoke, or too many fire. It just should be slightly create some kind of fire in this position. So let me just check the temperature, fuel. I want to fuel temperature. Yeah, it's all fine. Yeah, let's go to additive. It's not a multiplicative. Cool. That's our fuel out. And the another thing I want to add here is take our geometry and come on, select some on these guys. Let me just zoom on this guy. Okay, here you go. I select like this part. Something like that, and delete. Delete non-selected. Again, you go away. So the next thing I want to do is scatter node. Create some points on the surface. We can even copy. Just take this, all those guys, go up here. Okay, scatter, attribute warp, blast. We just don't need the fuel, we need the density, because in the small guns I want to add just a density. So I want to create smoke. Back here. And the density here. I believe all the same, except of the name. That's going to be my density out. Density out. Okay, we have two different sources for the fire simulation as a fuel and for the smoke simulation as a density. Cool. Let me just again check. Yeah, all fine. Now let's go and create a dub network to create those simulations. Get back to the start. And that's gonna be, I don't know, like a ship parts sim. Won't be too original. Let's go inside and create a parse solver. I want to add a sparse. I will show you why. And the smoke object sparse. Go to the volume source, connect it here, and now we have two different sources. So let's call this a fuel source. And let's grab from our ship parts the fuel out. Let's say that's our fuel. Come on, source fuel. But I don't need to fuel. I need to set the flame field, because I will transfer this into the flame. Temperature, I don't have velocity. Temperature, pull, and like 25. I don't need to have a huge pull. Copy, holding Alt key, and it's gonna be my smoke source. And let's choose source smoke. So density to the density, temperature to the temperature, and velocity. We don't have velocity. Basically, maybe a little bit more density to create a little bit better result, because we have a small area. And density out. Let's change this and merge those guys together. And now we have two different sources. One source create a fire and another one create a fuel. So let me go here to the main cam maybe. If we have two different sources, we need to create two different smoke objects. So the first one, smoke object, let's leave voxel size 0.1. Let's find the center of our source. So let's go and select our ship parts, and let's work with, I don't know, let's create one smoke for the fuel and another one, smoke object for the fuel, and another one for the smoke actually. So it should be a DX. Control C, Control V, DY, Control V, DZ. So we are in a position. Let's reduce voxel size a tiny bit to 0.08. I guess that we won't have a huge container. So smoke object fuel, or let's call it fire. Let's call it fuel because I want to have the same signature. We have a fuel source, so I want to have a fuel smoke object. And add a merge node. Connect this guy, and you should name smoke. Should have a name smoke. So yeah, the density. Let's copy that and paste it here and here. So now I can see we have two containers, one in this position, one in another one. So basically I can see, does it match? Yeah, they match with our geometry. As we can see, I can see my big gun. So yeah, they should work there. And for the both guys, I want to add a gas wind, as we did for all our smoke setup, and connect the forces. I won't end the field inside of our smoke object. I will keep the same settings, but what I want to do, I want to enable this gas wind and do like a small scale 0.2 with the same direction in Z, a smaller turn speed. It should be enough. So with the parasolar, what I want to do, I want to decrease the buoyancy scale. I don't want to raise up this smoke very high. So with the wind and small buoyancy scale, they will flow slightly near the water surface. Decrease the reference temperature. I don't care about the advection. I will leave timescale by default. Leave all those guys. So the fire should create a smoke, because we have a fuel emission and I want to create a fire, but with very small lifespan for the flame. I don't want to create a huge flames here, just a tiny bit of near this guy, and add more smoke like we create in our first simulation. Now with the shape, I don't want to add any kind of substeps. I think that it will be enough, just one substep. What I want to do, I want to work a little bit with the dissipation. And a reason for that, if we play the scene for now, it's creating something. Let's see. The smoke is moving here. Let's begin to move slowly. You should have some fire. Is if you apply a multi-field, apply the density here and the density there. It's one emission and the flame field and the temperature field. So we have a flame. Cool. Not too many smoke from there. So dissipation is very, very big. So let's set dissipation amount like 0.1 for the start. Now you should have more smoke. Now why the smoke is moving to the wind is working with this good, but with this smoke's not too good, as we can see. So to make it better, let's go to the smoke object smoke and add this tunnel wind for this. Now it should move like here, okay? Fine. So why I want to play with dissipation? The thing is, you can see that in the first frames, like in the first few seconds, it creates like a huge plume of the smoke. And this plume will fly away long time, and till frame like 992, it will not dissipate. If we set a very low dissipation amount, like 0.001 or something like that. But when I leave dissipation 0.1, the smoke will go away too fast. So I really want to keep dissipation in a low settings like 0.002, but I want to remove this first plume or the first cloud of the smoke somewhere maybe on frame 100 and I don't know, somewhere here closer to 100, doesn't go 150. Let's set here, let me stop seaming, let's set dissipation 0.1 and somewhere closer to frame, I don't know, maybe 200. Here's my frame 200, let's go and set dissipation to 0.002. So it's very small. As you can understand, I need to create a little bit larger simulation rather than just 240 frames, because as you can see from this starting point and frame like 93, we have just the starting for this scene. It will take a long time till the smoke is going behind the ship. So let's back to my ship. So the smoke is gonna take like, I don't know, 200 or maybe 300 frames to get the smoke going behind the ship. So I need to create more frames for this kind of simulation. That's why I want to play with dissipation, and I create a keyframes from frame 150 to frame 200. So I want to add an disturbance and the shredding. Shredding from a fire. and I guess I keep this by default. And with the disturbance, again, maybe with the default settings, but I increase the amount of the disturbance, like 0.75 should be fine. And the flame simulation, yeah, all those guys should be fine. So let's keep playing with that. Oh, sorry, I forget to enable theme. As you can see, our sparse mode allows us to create two different containers. So with the default Pyro solver, if I add two different sources, it will create a container around this source. In fact, two different containers, but it can calculate pretty long. We're going to spend a lot of time for calculation, but using the Pyro solver sparse, we will cut those areas which will have which don't have information, and there how we can create the pretty good simulation without spending too many resources. In this case, yeah, we create I don't know how many voxels do we have in this stage. Let me see. I can't do this during simulation. So yes, you can see that for my smoke object less than million, so 200,000, 500,000, but it should move fast. I don't know why, but it doesn't go in the direction I want. So actually, I should work. I guess that on frame somewhere 200 or 300, it will move in a bigger distance. We will see it soon. Okay, so let's do this simulation and let's cache this thing in our geometry. So let's call this, I don't know, SIP. Let's call this Pyro parts. And yeah, another thing I want to add here is our ground plane, because our smoke is near the water surface, and if it will move closer to the surface, it can bounce from that and it can interact with the ground. And in our case, our ground is the water surface. Oops. So here I want to cache or make an import part, so let's call it like this, and up import fields. Let's take our guys from there. Pyro parts, smoke, and I should choose the pyro option because I want to take a flame. So I don't need a velocity, I don't need a rest fields. I will leave a temperature, and except of heat, I will add a flame. So let me see. Do I have something? Where is my guys? Pyro parts. So yeah, I forget about that. Yeah, here you go. We have them. So let's add a file cache and let's name those guys Pyro parts, and let's simulate them. I mean, this folder, I think that they will not take too many space. But what I want to do, I want to simulate like 1000 frames. Okay, now let's save it and render on the background. And now, as you can see, we need to spend a lot of time to get a proper result. So let's add a time shift node to get my simulation from frame like, and let's say plus, I know, 700 frames, something like this. Yeah. So now you can see this is the plume from the smoke I talk about. But in this case, if we have just like almost 900 frames, it will hide after behind the ship. And there is a lot of smoke and we won't see this. Okay, looking good. So let's play with the shading. Definitely we can apply materials for this, but if we use a new tool, Pyro Post Process, we can simply create a shader inside of this node without going somewhere else. So what I want to do, I want to create a pretty dense and dark smoke. So let's say like a 5 for the density and create a very dark smoke. Come on, it's interactive stuff, so maybe like here. And we have some fire there, but it's not too intensive, like 5 intensity scale. We can rise it up. So we can leave it. You can play with the ramp if you want to. And apply this color, like an orange. Maybe just open another window or just turn off the update and make this the same stuff here. Move it up. Oh. Make it black. Move it about here, like there maybe. So just cut some areas, use a gradient. Okay, and let's make render for this guy. So now when I use a Pyro Post Process, I don't need to apply any kind of a shader here with rendering. So I can use this Pyro Post Process as a shader for visualization. So let's cover this. That's gonna be my ship parts. Alright, so go to the rendering, and inside of out, I need to add another render for geometry. And let's call this ship parts. And another rendering for the pyro parts. So here, what I want to add is our pyro parts ship parts. As you remember, we put the render on the null object, so it should work. So ship parts, and as a force mat I can use the ocean surface, and as a force and phantom we can use the fire cache, but in this case I want to use the import parts. So the smoke should create shadows, and fire, well, fire doesn't create nothing, because in fact I don't want to use the volume light for this. It's such a small fire. I think that we're gonna leave it like this, and with the pyro parts go to the objects, and I should add an import parts, and the ship green, no, nothing more, just a ship parts, and I guess my VS cut, or not a VS cut, yeah, I should think VS cut, not my water surface, again because of the speed proposals. Now yeah, we're gonna leave all the settings like they was. Yeah, fine. So let's see, am I right that I can use my Pyro Post Process for rendering? Go to my Pyro parts, go to my frame 192, and render. I said it won't take too many time for rendering such a small elements. Let's look on them. And here you go. Here's our smoke. It has even some tint from our fire from the ship. Well, we can play around and create some kind of the volume light from this fire. It's up to you. You can use this, not forgetting that, but I don't know. I don't want to do this again because, well, it's too small. It's not such intense to create a huge shading. We can use like a glowing on a post to add something there. And yeah, we don't need to forget, again, go to my wave water surface and add new details. So I'm gonna add my ship parts and import parts. Okay, set pattern. So almost all our elements we render out should be as a faucet phantom for our water surface. So that's fine, that works. I get that our ship parts should be rendered out without any problems. So what I want to do, I want to render those guys at once. So I merge those elements into one node. And now let's create a render current frame, current frame, current frame. So all those setups into current frame. And render this stuff. We will see the final result on Nuke.